This is your dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. Starting from humble beginnings, Nick has been beating the markets for over 2 decades. He shares with you his take on the profitable trades that will have you moving towards financial freedom in no time at all. To see an in-depth review of his track record and much more, go to inthemoneystocks.com.
Sure.
Welcome. This is your daily dose of daily market wisdom with master trader Nick Santiago. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. It's 9/11/23, show 523. So today is the 9/11 anniversary. Nick, it's amazing how time goes by here. It's 22 years.
It is. It's 22 years, and it feels like yesterday. I could still remember the day, and it was a clear September day. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I have friends that were in that building, so
Same here.
It was something to remember. And my prayers go out to all the families out there. It's still the greatest tragedy that I can ever recall.
Yeah, my friend, his brother was on the 72nd floor of the North Tower when the first plane hit, which it hit the North Tower, and he didn't think nothing. He just went on instinct. And he ran down the stairs, and the first 40 floors, there was nobody there. And then he hit the traffic jam. And then the other plane hit the South Tower. And then they're going down, and then the South Tower fell down before the North Tower. He got out, he ran, and 5 minutes later, that tower came down. So
yeah, it's unbelievable. I had an ex-partner of mine that a friend of mine that he was in there. And I'll never forget, covered with white dust, completely head to toe. You wouldn't even recognize him. It was just a horrific event. And, again, it's 22 years already. And it's quite something that, that's something, if you've been in this business, that you'll never, ever forget. It just haunts you forever.
Yeah, they shut down the courts. They shut down the stock markets.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was almost the day Manhattan, just went to a standstill, and you never thought you'd see it. It was just complete silence down there afterwards. And, a lot of my friends, too, in New York are firefighters, policemen, all have been affected by that as well. So, it's a horrific event. And, we wish all the people are still recovering from that mentally, too, because it was.
Oh, you never get over that.
Disaster. Yeah, it was just that.
Never get over it. But. So generally, this is a light session, isn't it?
It usually is, Kerry. Usually the markets are favorable to end slightly higher or positive. There's been a few 9/11s I could recall that we've had some sell-offs. But this, as you know, is options X week, especially on Friday. We're going to have a quadruple witching. That's where you got 4 different asset classes expire. So it usually makes for some erratic action this week. So be aware of that. Today, I'm not sure what we'll get out here. Markets seem to be a little bit choppy up and down, but right now they're still holding on to gains, at least for now, and we'll see what we get. But just remember, options X, a quad witch on Friday. Expect the unexpected. The institutions will play a lot of games with a lot of individual names, popular stocks, in fact, this week. So my rule is, Kerry, stocks that are in the stratosphere, watch for pullbacks. Stocks that have been in the gutter, have been completely annihilated, watch for them to get bids.
All right. So semis not participating in the early tech rally, are they?
No, semiconductors are weak today. In fact, you have the SMH down about 0.8%. NVIDIA dragging the market, or the semiconductors lower, down about a little less than 2%. And then you have AMD, Advanced Micro Devices, down over 2%. This is down about 2.3% as we speak. So we're seeing some weakness in the semis. And, Kerry, the old story. I would tell everybody here, the semiconductors, when they are leading, that is a sign of market strength, not only just for the technology sector, but for just about everything. When the semis are weak, that's when you got to be cautious. And we've definitely seen some weakness in the semiconductors, not only today, but over the last few sessions.
Interesting. So hey, there was an article in the Zero Hedge. We just got to talk about it because it's funny as hell that fat is the new gold, they were saying.
Yes. Well, that these You know that these drug stocks are out. Like Eli Lilly has a weight loss drug. These weight loss drugs have taken over. I mean, they've just become the biggest things out there. And you know, I really didn't even know much about it until, you know, my wife about 2 weeks ago was telling me she knows a ton of people on these drugs. And I was like, what are these drugs? And they're apparently, I guess they're diabetic drugs, but they're now being used for weight loss. And they are causing stocks like Eli Lilly to make soaring profits. And the stock is at, you know, all-time highs here. Even today, Eli Lilly making a new all-time high at $595 a share. So I guess this drug is for real. And these things are off the charts right now.
And Novartis has a higher market cap than most of the other drugs. They do Ozempic, and the way they work is they are called a GLP-1 agonist or an inhibitor, and basically you get your fix of GLP-1 and you're not hungry and you don't eat, and then they also slow down the processing of your stomach so you stay fuller longer, and evidently they work.
It's quite incredible. Look at Novartis stock. I mean, it's challenging the 2015 highs. I mean, it wasn't that long ago where Novartis was a $67, $68 stock. Now it's $100. I mean, it's quite remarkable. But Eli Lilly, if you ask me, Kerry, this stock is just off the charts. You could have bought Eli Lilly last year around the same time at $300. Now almost $600.
Wow, that's remarkable. I think they do Wegovy. That's their drug. Hey, well, better they make weight loss drugs than they make vaccines, right?
Well, you know where I stand on that, so I'm going to say very much yes.
At least you lose some weight. You feel good about yourself. The side effects be damned, and the long-term use and all that. But really, hey, to jumpstart your weight loss, maybe it's okay. But as a long-term consumer, the stuff's expensive as hell, too. Nick, it's like $20,000 a year for Wegovy and $12,000 for Ozempic.
Well, that's why these stocks are flying off the charts, right? They get to charge those prices, and people love it. They love this product right now. I mean, I've been watching Eli Lilly, and I'm saying, I can't get in this stock. It's too high, and it just keeps going higher. So obviously the demand is there. I mean, the demand in America, I mean, you know, they'll never go out of business with the demand in America. Look around. We have
That's why it's a gold rush. Hey,
it
man,
is. It
look,
may be the new gold.
You know what I would do if I was Lilly or Novartis? I'd put up a billboard in front of every single McDonald's in the country. You know, come all that fat, all that weight you're gaining here, come get our pill and you can lose it.
I don't know if McDonald's would like that, but I would say that would be a good marketing campaign.
Hey, and, you know, in front of every supermarket for that matter, because they all sell crap. You know, it's all processed foods. And, you know, if you can find a place where they sell Kraft macaroni and cheese, you know, do it there, right?
Well, I got to say, this drug, I don't even know if it needs any advertising. I mean, I think it's that popular, and it's only gaining popularity from here.
Yeah, word of mouth is very powerful, you know, especially when you see your friend who is a fat pig for 20 years, you know, wearing, you know, scanty clothing and bathing suits. And you say, how'd you do it? I mean, well, that's the ad, right? That's the ad right there.
That's it. You don't even need to spend any money on advertising in that case. You know, you'll know the sales are going to go down when they do start to spend money, because that's usually like, you know, the telltale sign they're trying to get other people in. But right now, I watch these stock prices right here, and I watch the strength of this chart, especially this Eli Lilly chart. It's just blowing my mind every time I look at it. But it's remarkable. I mean, you can't make it up. Just straight up.
The Ozempic commercial, they used that song from Orleans back in the 80s. It's magic, you know?
Yeah. That's right. It's magic.
And it's magic for their bottom line, right? For their stock price.
It looks to be that way. Boy, I got to tell you, it's just quite incredible. You know, if you would have bought Eli Lilly back in 2020, in September, October of 2020, the stock was trading at $130 a share. It's at $600 a share right now. This thing is
wow.
outperforming Apple. It's outperforming Amazon. It's outperforming them all. I mean, it's just incredible.
It's up there with Tesla, right?
It is. It really is up there. I mean, the market cap probably is not quite as high, but I have to say this thing is a powerhouse. And who knows if it where it ends? You know, this thing can continue to keep climbing. I would never be a buyer here, Kerry, because I just don't chase parabolic moves. But you know, when they go parabolic, you know they could go parabolic for quite a while. It's not there's nothing to say. You know, maybe this will be the first $1 trillion drug company.
Yeah. Well, you know, Eli Lilly was always, of all the drug companies, one of the better ones, you know. Um, you know,
I agree.
they
I
didn't
agree.
sell all these questionable drugs, and you know what's going on
Yeah,
without getting into it.
they've
Uh,
always had good product streams where you know good revenue streams,
mm,
solid products. They've always done that, and it's always been one of the better pharma names out there. But this one, I mean, this time around, it might be the drug that really that really tips them to that $1 trillion mark. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, it's just incredible.
you know, there's 18 different drugs coming on the market to treat weight loss, but theirs is by far the most effective because it does the GLP-1, and it also does a couple of other things that the Ozempic doesn't. It'd be interesting to see. But hey, in the meantime, at least the real gold is trading a little higher today.
Yeah, we got it up about 0.2%. So gold is actually hanging in there fairly well today. I'm always careful during options X carry. We've just seen it so often
Yes.
where gold will just get absolutely slammed in a single session. So we can never rule that out. But so far, first day of the week here, options X is Friday. It's hanging in there fairly well. So we'll see how that plays out.
It would be the perfect time for them to slam it because they'll get it under 1900. Maybe they'll get it down as low as 1850, 1870. Where's resistance there?
Yeah, when you look at the gold futures chart right now, the first big line of support would be down around 1905, 1910 in that vicinity. After that, then you go down to around the 1820, 1825 area. That's a huge level, as that would match up pretty nicely with the breakout that occurred back in March of 2023. So, you know, just this
Yeah.
March, gold, when it had that big surge, markets love to go back to where they were, and they had those big breakout pivots. So that's generally what we're seeing there. But right now, I mean, it's hanging in there today. So we'll see what we get
Yeah.
through this options X.
You could lose $100 with no sweat.
Oh, for sure. We've seen it so often where, you know, it could go down by that amount in a day or two in a heartbeat. You know, it's nothing to say you can't have a big sell off. The one catalyst today, though, that is keeping gold up is the dollar is a little bit weaker. The dollar's been on a tear to the upside, but today it's pulling back a little bit. And, you know, we have to keep tabs of that. But overall, when the dollar is strong, I mean, it's very hard or very difficult, I would say, to see gold go significantly higher.
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, well, you know, the dollar's strong because everything else is weak because Europe banks there are shot. And then what's happening in China? There's just money pouring out of China like you can't believe.
China's got some real issues. I mean, we talk about it on here from time to time. I think we elaborated on it. We talked about it a little bit last week, but they've got real issues there. And I know a lot of people think that you know, China is going to ultimately be the golden goose, where you know they will be the top economy, and that's certainly possible, but that's not going to happen for years and years to come. You know, that maybe that happens after the so-called reset at 2030 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it right now. I mean, China's got some real issues on the table here. And the one thing about the Chinese, they learn from it. But they're doing the money printing now, and they're trying to keep their markets floating higher, or at least staying buoyant from not really collapsing or tanking. So we'll see how good of a job they do. You know, just following the blueprint of every other central bank around the world, which is money printing.
Probably not too good.
Well,
Probably
they
not too good.
They've definitely got some issues there, and they got some infrastructure issues too, as you know.
Oh
And
my God,
you've talked
everything's
about
falling
that. Yeah,
apart.
yeah. So we'll see how that plays out. But they produce a lot of goods that their export business is still very, very strong, although that has gotten weaker as of late.
Yeah, that has definitely fallen off a cliff. And these floods that they're getting, and we just, we see a hurricane like Houston, like New Orleans, and we think that's bad. Those are nothing compared to what they have gotten here, Nick.
Yeah, when they get bad weather, they really get bad weather. So, we'll see how it all plays out. But the floods there have been going on for a while. Look at even in Hong Kong, right? They shut down their stock market last week,
Yeah.
just on the back of a storm. So, the weather has been insane, basically, to say it. As close as you could put it. But I've never seen any place flood like that in my life.
It carries cars away. And,
Yeah,
and then,
it's
like
incredible.
in Beijing, they had those awful floods. And what they did was they basically opened up the dams and they breached dikes to go flood other cities and provinces to take the pressure off of Beijing, and killed, like, God only knows how many people, and wiped out their crops, wiped out all of their wheat production for the year. And there was this ghost city that's Xi's uh, pet project, and they couldn't let that flood, so they flooded another province to avoid that from happening. And the people are up in arms over this. I mean, maybe this is what tips communism, and really puts it in the grave that it deserves finally.
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen over there, but it's certainly going to take an event like that. And as you said, it's just horrific to see. The Chinese people are good people. I'm not a fan of the government, obviously,
Yeah,
but
great. They're
you, you
great
know,
people, man. I've
yeah,
been there. I
yeah,
love them, man.
yeah. It's just
Ugh.
it's just incredible what we're seeing going on in this world. But the weather events there are unlike anything I've ever seen. I watch video of it. Some of these videos on YouTube, and what they're able to even get out to you, and it's just unbelievable. As you said, cars floating away. It's almost on a daily basis too. It
Shocking.
happens so much.
I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it, Nick. I've never. We watched a lot of weather events. So hey, finally, Bitcoin is down by 1% today. So it looks like it's breaking down, huh?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin's on a breakdown here. It's actually down by more now, Kerry. So it was down 1% earlier, now down over 2%. So again, we talked about the pattern is not good. We talked about that last week. When you look at the Bitcoin pattern, it had a failed weekly bullish setup. The best moves come from failed moves. I think this is headed down to the mid, or I should say 21,500, 21,700 level. I think it's on its way there.
Wow. That's a pretty big hit. Hey, well, that is it for today. Make sure you go over to Nick's site, inthemoneystocks.com. See how he's beaten the averages for decades. Twitter feeds at ITMS, at Nick Santiago01, at Kerry Lutz. Emails are welcome, KL@kerrylutz.com. Write your YouTube comments below. Nick, hey, we'll catch up with you on Wednesday.
Sounds good, Kerry.